It is your January mortgage and housing update. Okay, let's start with the headline news. I've been getting a lot of calls in the last 24 hours asking me if rates have lowered. The reason people are asking this is because President Trump was recently speaking at Davos where he said he wants lower rates. We need to have lower rates. The rest of the world needs to follow us, etc. Here's what you need to know. Trump was referencing the Fed rate. The Fed controls that. The president cannot tell the Fed what to do. They can suggest, but the Fed is independent. The Fed rate does not directly impact mortgage rates. The last few times the Fed rate has actually been cut, mortgage rates have gone up. So Trump saying that, is that going to directly turn into lower mortgage rates? No. Trump saying that, is it going to directly lead to the Fed cutting rates? No. If you do a quick Google history, what you'll see is that Jerome Powell and President Trump, even in the last presidency, Trump was constantly saying that what Powell was doing was wrong and why it was wrong and what he should do, and Powell was ignoring him. Okay, so unfortunately, that's not going to be the magic bullet there. However, here's the thing. If I look at our current framework and the stats that I'm seeing on the economy, do I expect rates to go down dramatically? No. However, you have some really bright people who are out of the box that are in this new administration. So I am curious to see if they develop a new framework that we haven't traditionally used, and that could lead to lower mortgage rates. That's what needs to happen, because otherwise, if you look at historically what has made mortgage rates go down, it's generally a recession, and that is not going to be America's golden age if we're in a recession. So hopeful that there'll be some sort of framework developed to help get some lower mortgage rates, but it's in the hope category right now. Okay, let's talk about inventory. It's January. So if you're in a part of the country where you're like, there just hasn't been anything for sale, there still isn't. And it's likely that you're not going to see more stuff on the market till late February, early March. Don't dismay. Spring is generally when we see the most listings, okay? Spend your time budgeting, getting ready for that new house, being hopeful. Don't give up. It's January, okay? And February is going to be very similar, especially if we keep on seeing these cold spells. I mean, it's snowing in Florida, for goodness sakes. Okay, now look, are there areas of the country where I think there's actually good deals to be had? Yes. Yeah, so let's talk about that. The areas where I'm seeing more inventory, it's generally areas that had a lot of new builds or a lot of speculation. So with new builds, what I mean is it's areas where you had 6 or 7 builders that came in, they started building houses when rates were lower. They're getting to where these houses are done, but rates are twice as much. So it's dampened their demand. There's other normal houses on the market. So there's parts of the country right now where I look at the map with a buyer and I'm like, let's go. Because it's fun. It's fun. And that's what you need to know is that, look, if you're in an area with a ton of inventory, ask the seller to pay your closing costs. Just because they want XYZ, the house may not be worth it. And that's kind of the thing I have to talk to buyers about a lot. What the house is listed at is not always a reflection of reality. Everything comes down to what someone is willing to pay for the product, right? If you're in an area where there's 3 houses for sale, people are going to pay more for that because it's rare. If you're in an area where there's 600 houses for sale, guess what? They're going to pay less because there's more availability, there's more options, there's more people to negotiate against. It's that simple. Now, what I'll hear is, but I'm not seeing prices drop. Sellers are going to try to hold that value as tight and as close to their heart as they can. Builders especially. A builder's not going to lower their price unless they have no other options. What they're going to do is they're going to offer you incentives. That's right. They're going to offer you a free lower rate. They're going to offer you $50,000, $60,000 in upgrades. Whenever you start hearing a builder offer you that stuff, it's because the houses aren't selling. It's that simple. The areas that have less inventory, where the builders are flying them, selling them just like crazy, you might get $5,000 if you work with their lender because they want to control the process, but you're not getting $50K. That's if they're having trouble selling the house. It's that simple. In regards to normal sellers, there's parts of Florida right now. I was on the phone with a client and we were looking at the area and they're like, it's just so expensive. I'm like, I think they want it to be expensive, but if there's 500 houses for sale and they're not selling, the price is wrong. And, when I think about parts of Florida as well, insurance right now, I was talking to a client, house was not near the water at all, not in a flood zone, a hurricane hadn't hit there, $400,000 house, the insurance was $15,000. That strips affordability. So I do think in the areas, and like one of the houses they were looking at, the seller bought the house a year ago for $100,000 less. Has the market gone up $100,000? No. Did they do anything to improve the value by $100,000? No, they're just putting a price out there hoping they're going to get it. And that's what we see in what I would call the speculation areas. The speculation areas are where you saw a lot of people buy in 21 and 22 because they were either going to do Airbnb or they thought they could just hold it, turn it, and make a quick profit. You do have people who bought houses in 2023 without realizing that what happened in 21 and 22 was not the way real estate works. You don't double your price in a normal market, especially a market with higher interest rates. So my advice to them was simple: write a lower offer. And they're like, well, but they won't accept it. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, do they want to sell the house? That's the question. If a house has been on the market 2, 3, 6 months and no one has bought it, the price is wrong. The price is wrong or something's wrong with the house. It's that simple. And as a buyer, you go, well, wouldn't they lower the price to try to get someone to buy it? No, sellers are going to want to hold that price because they think that if they lower the price, someone's just going to negotiate them below that. Okay? So write lower offers. Do it. What's the worst thing that can happen? They say no. Now, would I do this with a house that's on the market day one? No, not unless the agent I'm working with pulled comparable sales and we knew they had listed too high, right? But at the same point, if it's a competitive market, I might write at that price and offer to do an appraisal gap. It depends on the market. So lots of inventory, let's have some fun. No inventory, it's the same thing. It's going to be competitive and you may be paying over, okay? So here's something else to consider that I think is really interesting. A lot of times people go, okay, so do I just wait for the market to crash? I don't see how that happens. That's the thing. If the market was going to crash, I feel like it already would have. Now, do I think there's exceptions to that? Yes. Do I think the condo issues in a large part of Florida, in other parts of the country are something that I would be careful about? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. But if I look at single family homes, I feel like the opportunity right now is to negotiate to what you think it's worth if you're in a high inventory market. Okay. Now, what else is going on? Well, the government is actually working on your behalf. I know. I have people who watch me who are going to say, they don't do that, Jen. I have other people that'll be like, yes, that's what we do every day. They are. The CFPB currently just opened up a lawsuit against Experian, saying that they were doing sham investigations. Super interesting. Check that one out. The CFPB also opened up a lawsuit against a manufactured home financer, saying that they were doing predatory lending and they were getting people into loans that could not afford to pay it back. Very interesting. The DOJ just sued 6 of the largest corporate landlords in America over price fixing. That's a huge story. All of this is this month. It's this month. So there's a lot going on that is in your benefit. And if you go, well, why do I care if they sued 6 landlords? If you're a renter, you care. If you're a renter, you care, because what the lawsuit basically says is that these huge entities that control hundreds of thousands of rentals across America were using software that was price fixing and escalating housing prices for rent. Yes. So that's something you want to pay attention to. And you're like, well, could I benefit from this? Watch it, right? You know, the FTC last year did a lawsuit against, they looked into Invitation Homes about deceptive advertising, and it ended up with a $48 million settlement where a lot of that went back to people because they were saying that they had been not transparent about fees, et cetera, et cetera. And so, yeah, people did get money from that who felt that they had been harmed by deceptive advertising. So there's a lot going on right now. And I think we're in a really good space in terms of the government hearing everybody say, help. everyone's saying, this is wrong, this needs to change, saying we need lower rates. It's on everybody's radar and they're acting. And I think honestly, truly, that is the best thing for us going into this new year, is knowing that everybody's paying attention. So I hope this video was helpful. If you want to look at getting pre-approved or pre-qualified or have mortgage questions, reach out 786-933-2077. Call or text 7 days a week. Hop on the calendar. If you want to do a planning session, we do that for free. We're here to help get you home. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.